So I'm honored to bring our panel participant, Ye-Chin, Ethan from Taiwan Labs, Taiwan AI Labs, please. Applause. Mr. Nati Amsterdam from NVIDIA Israel. Mr. Royal Hansen from Google, VP Engineering, please. And replacing Angel, we have the honor to host Ralf. And Ralf is coming from Germany. He's a cybersecurity officer of Microsoft Germany. So we have here an interesting panel because you can ask what makes West and East together, what makes cyber and AI together on the same panel. So I think we'll go and dig into that. We'll try to shed some light of our thoughts of ways to cooperate, ways to engage cyber and AI. And that leads for several questions. Just for my quick background, I'm coming from many years in the service in the IDF. I've established the AI unit, but mainly did the cyber on my hands-on experience. And later on, Disruptive AI was my VC that I founded 5 years ago. Besides of that, I'm nominated to work on the OECD.ai. We are discussing the regulations and risks of AI, and we're going to talk about it also. And also supporting the Ministry of Education, how to integrate AI into the education system. So we'll not go to that, just letting you know if it finds your interest. So let's jump into the first thing we want to discuss. What's going on with cyber AI and AI? You know, I'm not sure if I'm in a cyber week or an AI week. It goes together. I go to one room, they tell me it's an AI week. I go to the other room, it's a cyber week. I go to the room with the AI week, they talk about cyber. I go to the room with the cyber week, they talk about AI. Ralf, what do you think? Oh, you need a mic, sorry. What do you think?
Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind that I should keep the photo of. She's looking much smarter than I do. No, she's looking much smarter than I do. So, I'm happy that at least a few people, or the important people, stayed in the room. So.
Cool.
Thank you. That was low-hanging fruit, to be honest. But yeah, I was surprised that there's still a separation between Cyber Week and AI Week. But at least I'm glad that's in the same week, so I don't have to travel 2 times over here. So it's interesting that it merges together, because I think it has to merge together. When we talk about cyber security, we have to talk about AI and vice versa. And it's protecting AI from cyber attacks. It's using AI to protect from cyber attacks. There's so many connections between cybersecurity and AI. I really wonder why it's still separate, 2 separate conferences, but I guess it is because of the shift of the Cyber Week conference now to November. And I'm really looking forward to have that back in summer, because the weather is much better during the summertime here. Sorry for that, but it is. So I really look forward to have that united and to see that as a holistic topic, AI and cybersecurity. And I'm happy that we are here today to merge it a little bit.
Thank you. Nati, you know, I was talking with one of NVIDIA's cyber employees, and I was asking him, what are you worried about all the time? He's a worried guy. You know him. I will not say the name. Because NVIDIA is at the front of AI. So why is he worried all the time? And probably you're worried too of cyber issues.
First of all, you know, why worry? You can't control it, then why worry?
That's great.
But being serious, I think that first of all, the combination of cyber and AI, you know, Israel is leading in cyber, okay? And we have been doing it for many years, and I think the idea of connecting AI and cyber is a smart thing to do, because we want to replicate the success of the cyber and making Israel as a country that really paves the way to do the same with AI. So What are we worried about is, all the computing architecture has really evolved and changed. It's different than having a smart kid with a laptop that develops cyber solutions. And today he needs a data center with supercomputers to do things that are really, smarter things. So I think that whatever we anticipated or we know of, that we are responding in the cyber world is a different story with the AI. Whether it's, agentic AI, which really starts a new world of agents that will support our lives, our day-to-day life, and they will also have, things that cyber would need to look at and find solutions. How do we protect that? How do we make sure that, they're using the right data? Same for physical AI. I think 10 years from now, we will see more and more robots in our life. So I think, again, this is something that we need to look at seriously. So yeah, the landscape changes. That's why we are worried, because we want to make sure that we have the right guardrails, to protect the data. We want to make sure that we have, large language models that are working in the best way to support, this world. So yeah, but why worry again?
Sure. So, Royal, maybe you can share of your perspective, of understanding where Google sees the future with AI and where it meets the basics of cyber risks, or maybe new cyber risks, and what is the way to mitigate it.
And maybe just sort of join a few of the comments here. One, I think that there are three ways to look at it. One is the bad guys are going to use AI, and we already see that. You see sort of going from just knowledge work to the automation and autonomous nature of attacks. Then you see the sort of security of, whether it's the infrastructure all the way up into the stacks that people are using. And then the third, which I think is underappreciated, is a little like the cobbler's children. The defenders need to use AI in meeting the needs of those two goals. But if you focus on that second side, and I think it's to the point about merging a lot of what AI, cyber, technology mean, in a very fundamental way, software is less relevant because these are large language models. And so you're now involving people who historically were not, in a sense, relevant, but they were sort of the beneficiaries or the victims of cybersecurity activity. Now they will be participants, whether victims or defenders. And so I think you have to look more through the lens of the industry. Healthcare will use AI very differently than material science and energy. And the risks will be very different in those arenas. And the people that decide that will not be the people who necessarily are talking on the stages. They will be the doctors, they will be the scientists, they will be the energy operators. And so I think we've got both opportunity and liability at that interface, because the cyber people will only take it so far. And the vertical sectors will need to pick up those risks, not as memory safety issues, but as thresholds in a nuclear reactor. Those will become cyber risks in a way that blurs these lines.
Thank you. Ethan, maybe you can share a little bit about your work at the AI lab and about those concerns that we mentioned here related to risks and maybe a little bit of compliance also as part of issues that disturbs you.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. It's my great honor to be here, and nice to have you stay to the last sessions. Okay, so I think the establishment of Taiwan AI Lab is actually the mix of defense technology, cyber, and also AI. So when I come here, people told me, we have a cyber week, a defense week, and cyber week, then AI week. I said, what? But these three are all the same. Right now, these three are the most important thing in terms of the technology. Okay, so I can come back to say why I founded Taiwan AI Lab. So Taiwan AI Lab is the very first open AI research institute in Asia. We founded in 2017. We are the very first institute focused on trustworthy and responsible AI research. We are a nonprofit foundation, non-government, but we focus on solving the industry issues, not including if our industry in Taiwan want to have a trustworthy and responsible solution, how can we help them? And not including how can we defend our industry in Taiwan from cyber attack, for example. And we believe in the future, artificial intelligence will become a superpower. How can we use the technology in the trustworthy way? Today I listened to a lot of trust tech, server technology that's related to this topic. We are the team in Taiwan. We deploy, we call it federated technology. So industry by industry, they can set out a standard and building up the AI solution together with the help with Taiwan AI Labs, cooperate with the best company around the world like Google, Microsoft. I have formerly worked for Microsoft as well. And how can we build up the technology that solve the industry issue? However, they can still feel trustworthy and they can enjoy the trustworthy and responsible technology together. Also, starting from the healthcare solution. Healthcare is one of the topics. The data is very sensitive. It's hard to share. And how we can train machine learning model across different hospitals. So together with Taiwan AI Lab, we set up the nationwide strategy. Taiwan AI was funded together with the National Science and Technology Council in Taiwan. So we set up the Taiwan standard for the trustworthy AI, responsible AI. For the data governance, not only we have the funding to support the computing and research in the National Science and Technology Council, but also hospital by hospital, we set up a data governance room, nationwide data governance room, then do the federated learning. So in Taiwan, we have 92% coverage of the medical centers using the federated technology to train the AI algorithm. And our National Health Insurance Agency also participate into this program. So overall, totally we cover 99.7 of the 23 million population of the medical data. Therefore, we can train in an efficient way for the healthcare. Central financial banks, they need like a anti-money laundering, anti-fraud detection. We talk about the defense technology, we talk about the trustworthy technology, but how can bank and bank work together? So this was our challenge in Taiwan. Okay, do not share data. Okay, when you don't want to share data, that's fine. We build out a federated technology. Okay, how you validate the algorithm results, so there's not a lot of false parties or false negative. So we set up national strategy, common data model, common protocol. So in Taiwan, we have 39 banks work together in unified protocol, unified algorithm, open source platform to train the anti-money laundering program together. So this system not only work inside the hospital, works inside the financial banks. Later on, we have a nationwide strategy with the Taiwan's National Development Council. We initiated the Taiwan Federated Alliance. The main initiator is our current president, Lai Ching-te. So our current president initiated this cross-ministry federated technology data governance approach. Therefore, a different vertical, different company, private sector, they can work on the trustworthy solution together. Okay, so that's for industry. And we also have a great challenge from the information manipulation from our big neighbors. Yeah. So the information technology, in order to secure our information space, so we also build out our own language model to look through all the social media and the news media and understand how this information is being manipulated, understand which account is a real user, which account is a collaborative account that is actually following a troll group, for example. So with this information technology deployed, starting in 2018, originally Taiwan had the very first Fact Check Center around the world. The Taiwan Fact Check Center like in 2018. But in year 2020, Fact Check Center is not very useful. So we have a decentralized Fact Check Center. We also have a Fact Check Center coordinate with our chat box, but it's still not good enough because the information attack is too quick and too massive. Therefore, we need to build out the artificial intelligence solution to understand what's happening, identify the origin of the information manipulation, identify the troll, analyze the narratives, and in our Taiwan's requirement for the information when it attack, before we can detect, we need to discover within 4 hours. So that's our criteria in Taiwan. Thank you.
That's raised a question. I mean, there is a lot to learn from what you demonstrated, and I feel that there is a lot of governance involvement in the way it shapes the industry, the way the AI is not just AI. We always say trustworthy AI. Maybe we should say trustworthy healthcare, trustworthy banking, and trustworthy industry, I don't know, academic, and not focusing on the technology, but on the domain, because every domain has its issues. But I'm really interested in learning and maybe share perspective on the part of the government in supporting industries like medical, healthcare, or defense, or banking. So maybe, Nati, maybe you can share from your perspective on Israel, and then Ralf, if you can share a little bit about what you see in Germany, and then we can hear the global, no, you bring the global view. That's your.
So yeah, first of all, AI in Israel, I think quite, varies in different verticals. So one of it is, we have a lot of startups, as a startup nation. So a lot of companies that are potentially the next ChatGPT, okay, or the next model builders that are really building, platforms, and that we support more than 1,200 startups that are doing AI in Israel. It's quite a big number. And they are in different verticals, different industries, and it's quite interesting. So these guys, we help them to build a go-to-market. We help them to, to be a technology partner, to onboard their technology with different industries, whether it's, defense or healthcare, depending on what they're developing. Second thing that we are doing as a country is we are trying to build, government-to-government initiatives, which means since, the flywheel of Israel is, the AI talent, the researchers, the startups, we try to connect bridges between countries. We're already doing that, and we're trying to use the Abraham Accords and some other relationship we have with other countries to really make sure that, we identify what those countries are looking to achieve and how Israeli, technology, startups, researchers can really help collaborate in that and build like a bridge between countries. Where we can have a research lab that resides in Israel that can support a need of another country. Now that actually answers every industry. Think about it. If you have an issue with diabetic, for example, we can connect, the right startups that develop that, the right researchers from the hospitals that are experts in this area, and we can train it on small size of data in Israel, build a model, and then deploy it, in another country. But this is work in progress. So, for the ones who left the building, they don't have the option to approach us. But for you guys that are here, if you wanna build a bridge between Israel and the country that you represent, that you are more invited to really come and talk to us, because we are building that these days. And eventually it's taking the goods from Israel and deploying it, in other countries. And I can give you an example. We just recently announced a cooperation that we have around genomics between Sheba Hospital and Mount Sinai, okay? So this is an example of taking, research capabilities that resides in Israel and in Mount Sinai and combining that. We're doing the same with India. We're doing the same with other countries. So I think we leverage everything that we nurture and build here. And we do it, just to summarize, in 4 vertical startups, universities and researchers. We are doing, we are building AI factories together with those countries. So, and this is like, I think, the things that creates the flywheel between governments. One final thing about Israel. So, we didn't invest enough in AI infrastructure, okay, recently. So only a few months ago, there was a committee led by Professor Nagel. Itzik here also led the first committee, I think, that identified that there is a lack of AI infrastructure that is required in Israel. And these days, we are really looking forward to going on the highway to really have a much more extensive AI infrastructure in Israel to support all of these things that I'm just describing. So hopefully, I'm looking at a bright future that will continue to support the rich ecosystem that we have here.
So for Germany, we have a lot of startups also in Germany going on AI, but in a typical German way, more on data privacy, on sovereignty, on regulations, on the typical German aspects, I would say. Sorry for that, but I'm a fan of real-world comparisons, and when you see that you don't go to a doctor when the engine of your car makes some strange sounds. So it's the same in AI. We have healthcare developing AI, we have defense developing AI, and so on. And I think it's a totally natural way to look at that, because people tend to use ChatGPT for everything. And that's not, I think, the right approach, because when you train the model and be more specific, like we do for Security Copilot, for example, with focus on security and so on, you get much better results than just having one size fits all, you see? So this is a trend that I'm seeing, and in German government, well, we tend to use natural intelligence, so we're a little bit away from artificial intelligence right now. I'm sure we will catch up, and for those who have been on the last panel, also in the room, Friederike Dans summarized it quite good. We're on the way, we're catching up, we're using that more and more, but right now, government is more natural intelligence focused, to frame it friendly, like that.
Thank you.
Global. We have the blessing of being regulated in a lot of different countries. I'll say it like that, exactly. I married a political theorist, and that was my strategy. So she actually studied at Hebrew University, and so it has some origin in your exciting politics and religion and all of the above. So I appreciate the challenges with doing regulation well. Right? It's an art, it's a science, it's all of the above. And so I think our goal, a little like you've described here, is to be more dynamic in the face of things that are changing. I talked a little bit about it this morning. We have a tendency, because of the history of technology, to view it like a bridge or like an airport, and you build it once and it lives on for 100 years. So you design it really well. The blueprints are very important, the different stages of checking it off. We do not live in that world anymore, and we haven't lived in it for a while. These systems are dynamic by nature, let alone by software programming or the interactions with humans. And so I think the important thing is to have a system that is focused on, and this is, I love the comment about sectors, focused on outcomes, but dynamic enough to adjust to the evolving technology or the evolving usage of technology and the differences in risk appetite or preferences by country. That's going to be hard. And I think that there's a role for all of us to play around that table as we get this right. Because again, I mentioned this morning, I have a son with long COVID who's sort of he's been out of school for 5 years, he's 15 years old, and his life has basically been taken from him. And I watch some of the things that are possible in the health industry as we learn to do these things well. So the answer, the framing is not just how do we contain this technology, it's how do we optimize the upsides while minimizing the downsides of this very dynamic technology. And I look forward at really, it's a wonderful time to be alive, but we have to collaborate. If we work at cross purposes, the citizens will be the people who suffer in this age.
Thank you. And maybe a little, another quick question, because Nati mentioned the bridge, and really you represent this type of bridge, because Google in Israel is Google in United States or whatever. So it could be, it's like the ocean, and then you build the ships to travel it. I don't know, I'm trying to think of something, analogies. How do you see your role in that when creating the technology?
It's a great question. So one of the things we've done, I would say aggressively in the last 5 to 10 years, because in the beginning, these services were much more unipurpose, like Gmail, YouTube. They were used in largely the same ways across the country. But as the technology platforms have evolved, as the usage has become more sophisticated, we view the country, let alone a company, as a customer of that platform. And so the goal is to give dials and knobs that allow people to set their tolerance, not relying on every individual in the country having to set that dial. So I think that the main point is to treat a country, whether it's the sovereignty questions, whether it's privacy questions, whether it's national security questions, to be different by country. And so I think that the main thing is to view the country, view the regulator, view the sector as a customer. And they have their own features, which may be different from the features that a consumer or a company has access to.
So when it's an open question, do you believe that the way to collaborate, to cross the borders, is just shaping the borders not by regions only, but by sectors, meaning that healthcare could collaborate on all regions, and I don't know, other sectors could collaborate on different, because the regulation would be the same or similar, if you get what I mean. So if you go to, instead of focusing of regulating everything with the generic regulation, maybe we can go back to regulating healthcare, regulating industry, regulating.
Maybe just one quick comment and then others respond. But I mean, sure, I would love for every country and sector to sort of line up on these things, but I'm not naive enough to think that's going to happen. But I think that the opportunity is, if one thing I learned from an academic actually in the US is that the nation state, which is born as we know it in kind of that 15th, 16th century, actually coincides with a lot of the development cartographic technology. So you couldn't have France or Germany on a map until you could draw it with repetition, so it could be used in legal questions, it could be used in travel. I think we're at a similar moment. Right now, when you ask that question, yeah, I know we talk about data centers being in certain countries, but that's sort of irrelevant, right? But the governments don't come in with forklifts to get the servers. We have access to data in a logical way. So I think we have an opportunity to draw maps and boundaries, whether it's by sector or by country, in a way that's useful to regulators, to citizens. But we currently don't have that cartographic technology. It's something we should work on as a collective.
What he says. So.
I think that we should look at that, from two angles. One of it is understand what are the natural resources of each country. Okay, Taiwan, for example, they have TSMC. Okay, they are a strong manufacturer, so probably they're interested in maybe robotics or industrial, proactive maintenance or other things that maybe AI can really accelerate. Okay, and Israel is different. The UAE has oil and gas. Okay, so everyone has their own natural resources. German automotive. It's not Detroit anymore. It sits with you. So and I think this is one point that every country builds sovereign capabilities to really being able to protect its IP. Okay, the natural resource of the country, which is important. It's important similar to electricity and water, because you have to have it, as the critical infrastructure to support the growth of the country. And Israel, it's quite simple. Then the second thing is the industries that are really, they go beyond everything, like healthcare, transportation, even defense. So those are areas where, development will influence everything that we are doing, but it also requires building AI factors and sovereignty, because driving a car, it doesn't matter if you do it in different countries, you still requires a massive amount of tokens, to really being able to respond. So there are areas where anyway you will need to build capabilities in country, but this is a side with the natural resources that you need to protect. So yeah, sovereign is a big thing. I know you guys probably both of you sits in the cloud, but sovereignty is something that we see countries building up and really building capabilities in this area, and I think it won't stop. It will continue to grow, only to support those natural resources of the country and protect its IP.
Thank you. So, yeah, want to say something?
Okay, now we move to quantum computing. So the answer is not 0 or 1. So cloud computing has its superpower capability, because I worked for Microsoft before. I know the capability of Azure, and we open every 3 days we open one data center when we work for Microsoft. But on day-to-day work, there are a lot of data is private institute. For example, when I work for Microsoft, I probably think all the data already being trained in the large language model today. That's yes and no, because we train all the public data. But for the private sector, all these small percentage of data is being used. Because the private sector, they have a lot of questions and sending their information up to the cloud, either because of the regulation or because they just don't want to do it, because that's their credit, their IP, they don't want to send to others. They don't want to be learned by other AIs. So therefore, I would say the public cloud, the big AI is important. However, it does not replace the need of the private cloud and also the servant status. That was also a reason in Taiwan. I would say, if our government said, I want to train big AI, I would say, no, this problem, Microsoft and Google already solved it, so we don't work on this. But there are a lot of long tail, small sectors. They want their own AI solution. They don't have a good engineer, but their case are simple. Then we have one, we call it federated AI box to support them. So we separate the AI training and also the data ownership. So Taiwan AI Lab have a base engineer provide this state-of-the-art model inside this box. Then we hand over to the private sector. Then they can leverage this box to train the AI for their own usage. A lot of them, they are not big AI, they are not magic AI, but a lot of time, if you want to sell a burger, you don't need a PhD degree. So a lot of time, a small AI is already good enough for our private sector. Then we deploy this kind of solution for them and solve their day-to-day issue. Yeah, and I think there are also a couple interesting discussions in Taiwan, and there's a couple special situations. When you talk about Taiwan and Israel, actually we are pretty similar. We are small. We are facing a big threat. We need to rely on the technology in order to survive. Okay, so although everyone knows TSMC, but TSMC is making chipset for everyone. We are a very good global citizen. So when we founded Taiwan AI Lab, this is a basic same principle. If we want to encourage everyone use the technology, we have this federated technology to enable everyone to build their own solution by themselves. And once you build a solution by yourself, the data stay in your on-premise storage. And the AI model result is yours, it's not us. I teach you how to do it. I give you a box, help you to write AI program, and also to do the machine learning. But if that become a good solution, like you can sell it, that's yours, and that is your IP. So that's our principle. In the software, we are also the global citizen. If you want to train your own AI, you want to have your AI capability, we can help you. So that's our principle. Thank you.
I want to raise, from what you all mentioned, I want to raise a kind of a dilemma. Okay, on one hand, we are all for the great trend of building those bridges, which are supporting or building a cloud, a global cloud. When you want to serve your industry, you want to bring it to the cloud, to enjoy all the benefits of the cloud, of the LLMs, the pre-trained large models, enjoy it all. And you probably think or believe that that is the most secured place because Google, Microsoft, NVIDIA, etc., took care of things. Like if you are a startup, you say, well, I'm using Gemini. This is safe. It's reliable. So this is the big trend, and we all support it. But on the other hand, we understand that in many cases, and we see some trends in the technology which are a different way, going to the edge, training, and we not only inference, but also training on the edge. We see small language models or local language models which compete because you don't need the old pre-trained model. You just need to locally train it. We see still on-prem solutions because institutions, governments, and so forth are still afraid of, and they need the air gap and keeping that. So it's like two different trends. And my ask too is, what is the future in your opinion? Will we see a reduction in cloud consuming because everything going to the edge? Will we see no more supporting the huge LLMs, but looking for other technologies for small or local or on the edge? What is your take on that? And I know it meets your strategies, your organization strategies, and so forth. So we'll have to hear that. And of course, another thing, there is the angle of making it safe. If you're not on the cloud, if you're just somewhere in the corner, you might be not safe for your users.
If I would know the answer, I would be rich in 5 years.
Oh, I thought taking it from you.
Yeah, we talk again in 5 years. No, it's just my personal opinion. I hope that we can educate the users to distinguish when to use what solution. There's no unified solution, as I already said. If you go back to the real world examples, there's a reason why the army has their own doctors. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to have his own doctor. There are reasons for that, and they are fine. And there might be reasons for local LLMs or for local trained AI. But it doesn't mean that everybody should have their own local AI. It won't scale. You won't benefit from developments in other areas. You won't scale, for example. I accept that there are reasons for, but there might be very good reasons, and they have to be very good reasons to cut you off from a global development. And I accept that they are there. But please choose wisely if you really need one of those specialized on-premise LLMs, or if you're fine to use a more global approach. There are a lot of models out there you can retrain, you can adopt to your needs, you can ground on whatever you want. So it is really, let's say, a niche, very special requirements have to be there to put that on-premise. That's my opinion. And I don't know, you agree? Who wants you?
I'll maybe just extend that a little bit. To me, it's sort of a business case question in that, businesses need to decide what business they're in and which capabilities they can differentiate in and which ones they don't need to differentiate in. And I think the key with technology is that doing it yourself is not free. And I think sometimes we assume that, okay, if you do it, you get some IT support, that's enough. Let me take an extreme example. You think of in a world of post-quantum crypto. So to take one example, as quantum computers become available, everyone's going to have to think about, do their cryptographic algorithms pass that test? Will they be vulnerable to that kind of computer? And then you ask yourself, does a law firm, does a hospital need to be in the business of maintaining an inventory of their cryptographic algorithms? Are they going to differentiate in that? Versus, I mean, in our case, it's life or death for a company like Google with undersea cables and data centers to maintain that. It doesn't mean to the point that everything is that way, but I think the default isn't on or off-prem. It's do you differentiate, and can you find someone who is differentiating in that? And it's a unique moment where it's existential for Google to run a secure platform. People should take advantage of that where it makes sense. And that's, I think, consistent with this, decisions.
So I see, as you said, probably, usages that are going to be in the cloud, on-prem, depending on the type of the industry that you're trying to respond. I think, as always, it will be in a hybrid mode, where we will see, the large companies like, Google, Microsoft, and others continue to reach, capacity globally to support the massive growth of what we call AI factories, that they are running. So eventually, they create strong GPU supercomputers that are machines that create tokens, that eventually this token can be a chemical, can be a protein, can be a word, can be a picture, whatever, can be a video. So it will continue to grow on one hand and to support, the global economy, which is a $100 trillion economy that AI is addressing. And then on the other hand, we also have the, let's say, the specialized, industries that will probably build, local sovereign platform to support, whether it's, healthcare when you cannot really expose medical images, or it needs to be anonymized, or defense or others. So it's a combination of both that we will see moving forward. But the magic word that belows everything is AI factory. And this is something that I believe strongly. The factories of the future will be AI driven, will be eventually efficient, GPU supercomputer that will generate tokens for the best price performance, and will allow to run any application that you want on that, whether it's a robotaxi or a digital biology platform or a chatbot or whatever. And our role in that is to produce the most optimized price performance GPU supercomputer to support this growth. So this is like the magic word, and we're gonna see AI factories, rising up in each of the corners of the world.
Thank you. So just for wrapping up, I want everyone to respond on the question, if we sit here within 2 years, not 10 years, right? 2 years, what would be the next big thing? If LLM or agentic workflows are now, what is it going to be? The area, of course, of technology, not healthcare and not something else. What would be that? And if it's not AI Week and Cyber Week, what is it then? You have to answer that.
Okay, so I think right now a lot of people focus on big computing power, big AI. I would say that's important, yeah, but sovereign AI trust tech will become more and more important. So it's similar to at the very beginning, all the bank use a mainframe computing. Then there's Intel and Windows building a PC. So small computing with a reasonable OS that's fit everyone use. Same as the AI industry. I would say when I work for Microsoft, I try to build a big machine, build a big AI model, solve everyone's problem. But in some small sectors, they just need small model. They don't want release their data. And for this case, for example, in the military, if you don't have internet, can you still use your AI? Is a generous question, and we need to provide a solution. In this case, then we need to have a localized AI, one box that you need to work. So I would say the big cloud will not replace the on-premise. On-premise AI model will not replace the big AI cloud infrastructure either. But in the future, it should be a hybrid mixed model to working with each other. And both technology will evolve. For example, on the cloud, we have the encryption technology. Therefore, we can upload our data to the cloud so we don't have a privacy issue. And on-premise, there's also a federated technology. Therefore, in Taiwan, we unify all the common data model, common protocol. So even in different hospitals, they don't share data. They can still train AI algorithm together. And that solve the data silo issue. And we can also use a federated validation to validate the result with the authority. So I would say in the future, in a very dynamic way. The GPU will change. It's not only for training, it's also for inferencing. So GPU become a topic right now. And in the future, there are a lot of, day-to-day work. There are more people selling burger than the people thinking about the algorithm. So the small inferencing AI model for the specific purpose will, I would say, will become a lot of them, and that will outnumber the current big AI model we can foresee. And big AI model will have a trillions of parameters and become super intelligent. I know there are the two countries competing for AGI. I would say Taiwan, Israel, probably we can focus on the small ones. The big one, we allow Microsoft and Google can compete with each other. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would say three wishes. Okay. First of all, we should call Jensen the best.
He knows, yeah.
Let's say on a country wish, I wish we will have, we'll grow our export of technology outside of Israel. This is something that continue to grow, whether it's startups, R&D, NVIDIA. It's quite a pride that every data center that is built globally has Israeli technology in it, from Mellanox acquisition. So I'm quite proud of it. Personal wish, I want to have a robot to fix my house. So if we can, I can give him a picture of how it looks like, and we'll return it to the same stage. That will save me a lot of time, and maybe I can spend more time in cocktails with you guys.
Coming back to the cocktails. So
Cocktail robot.
I guess in 2 years, it sounds like the near future, but the speed is so fast that I think in 2 years, I might be replaced here by an agent. And a lot of the audience will be replaced by an agent sitting there asking my agent, and we discuss over our agents whatever we do.
And we go to drink cocktails, right?
Yeah, it is fun because we will be at the cocktails at that time. Our agent sitting here doing the work. You save all the air condition, all the water, all that stuff, all the rooms. They will discuss, and we will be at the cocktails. That will be my expectation in 2 years. So up to you.
Finish us off. So just in practical terms, I think in next year you'll see the continued advancement of software development related capabilities with AI. I think everybody sees that. In the security world, you see the finding of vulnerabilities accelerate. But in an ideal world, for cybersecurity in that following year, I think you'll see the beginning of the combination of those two and a really self-defending application which finds and fixes by combining those two capabilities. And I don't think that's wishful thinking, because both those capabilities are becoming very real, and you'll see them very real in 2026. And I'd like to see them like, peanut butter and chocolate. Let's put them together and get self-defending applications in 26.
Thanks. So see you next year in Cocktail Week, right?